Amanda Byrd, Chief Marketing Officer, Philter Labs, on the Dales Report.
All right, I am happy to be joined today with Amanda Byrd, who is the Chief Marketing Officer of Philter Labs. How are you?
I am amazing. Thank you so much.
You're out of San Diego, a great city to say the least.
Yes, I'm very lucky. Beautiful weather, the beach close by. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. So let's get into who Philter Labs is. You're no stranger, obviously, to disruptive industries, but I want to first ask, women are largely MIA in two of the fastest growing industries, which is tech and cannabis. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think there's definitely still the stigma associated first with cannabis.
Yeah.
It can seem a little bit dark and scary. You've typically kind of been associated cannabis with the corner drug deals, and as we
Yeah.
know, that's quickly eroding away. The cannabis industry itself is becoming more sophisticated. The consumer is becoming more sophisticated,
For sure.
which is a massive step. And then with technology, I think that there can sometimes be, just a fear for women to jump over into an industry where maybe they walk in and they don't see as many other females in the space. So I think one of the important things that women can do that are in these leadership roles that have broken through into cannabis tech is to be vocal about their experiences.
Yeah.
To share what their experiences are in the space, to talk about their successes, to talk about, any issues and challenges they've encountered and yet how they've overcome them. So that way they can start to break down those walls. And of course, stigma is always associated with preconceived notions, as
Right.
people tend to project our own sort of thoughts and feelings about our, based on our own experiences. So the more you can educate women on the opportunity within the spaces, it's so important. Cannabis is booming.
For
When
sure.
it does recognize its full revenue potential, you're going to want diversity. You're going to want, both from a racial aspect perspective, from a gender perspective. It's going to be critical to make these industries sustainable.
What grabbed your interest to get into some of these disruptive industries? Like you said, knowing that it's maturing, it's always fascinating to hear what people's backgrounds are, because obviously cannabis being relatively new, you get people from all walks of life that get into this industry. So what in a lot of ways has interested you or grabbed your attention?
So I started my career and really spent the bulk of it in what most would consider the most stigmatized industry in adult.
Yep.
Led marketing initiatives, IP expansion for two of the most prolific brands, Hustler
Right.
and Penthouse. And my experience there and learning sort of behind the scenes of some of the reasons why people consume adult content, the story, the behind the different brands, made me really passionate about people's personal rights.
Hmm.
The right to do what they need to do for themselves. And so with Philter, there was kind of this instant connection there.
Yep.
Both cannabis and adult, highly stigmatized, people's rights can typically become infringed upon.
That's interesting.
One of the biggest problems with cannabis consumption is really the secondhand smoke and smell.
Yep.
And so with Philter, you have this opportunity, these very sophisticated, small, sleek personal devices to eliminate secondhand smoke and smell and let people do what they want to do, which is a 100% adult personal decision to vape or smoke.
Right.
And so once again, it was sort of this idea of a personal right. I can sit down, I can relax socially with a glass of wine and no one bats an eye. And yet as soon as someone pulls out a cannabis pen, or a smoking accessory, you get the side eye and, the eye roll. And all of a sudden, they're ostracized or outcast for what is a very similar adult decision choice.
Mm-hmm. So as you said, very extensive resume, no stranger to some of the, new disruptive industries. You've worked with some big brands, as you said, with Hustler and Penthouse. So what have you learned overall, I guess, from that experience, and how do you incorporate it into what you're doing now?
So I think most important has really been how you communicate with your customers. We go back to vaping and smoking. People
Mm-hmm.
know it's probably not great for them. But they don't want to be told that. They don't want to be told that they can't do something. With Philter, we really wanted to create a safe space. We wanted to bring our customer in and empower them to make this decision to filter their secondhand smoke for themselves, and then for the people around them, for the environment. And so we reference our customers as clean air champions. We want to inspire this change within them. The other big piece of that is, the cannabis industry as a whole is collectively looking to normalize consumption. And one of the main, ways to do that is to eliminate one of the most prolific issues, which is secondhand smoke and smell. And the same thing was prevalent for the adult side of the business. How are you considerately and empathetically speaking to your consumers so they feel better? And we actually ran a really great survey a couple weeks ago with our Philter customers, and 88% of them responded and said that because they're able to use Philter and eliminate that telltale vape plume, they actually feel better about their choice to vape or smoke. And that's a big win in our book, that we can make someone feel more comfortable with their chosen life.
So how does it work? Like if I'm consuming cannabis, and let's say some people either love it or they hate it, it's a strong scent to say the least. So explain to me how it does work in a situation like that.
Yeah, definitely. I'll even do a little show and tell.
Yeah, I'd love to. Okay, perfect.
So this is our pocket. This is our most popular product, handheld personal filter. So imagine you have your vaporizer, your favorite smoking accessory. You take a hit. Rather than exhale into the ambient air, you're going to exhale right back into this device.
Interesting.
And it captures all the smoke and all the smell. And it was really driven out of, need to create this product because there hadn't been a solution yet that you would feel comfortable using in a public or social setting that would be discreet enough but sophisticated enough, and actually kind of signal to people that you're proactively protecting them.
Okay.
Our chief technology officer has a background in medical devices. And so, think teeny tiny little pieces that go in your heart and your back for health and wellness. And so he invented a microfiltration process that has actually been lab tested and validated to not just capture secondhand smoke, but actually destroy the airborne particulates to 97% effective.
Interesting. What interests me about you is that, you're willing to take on products that have a stigma around them. So in this particular case, why, I guess, take on the extra challenge?
You see, I think it comes back to, again, really that personal right perspective. People use cannabis as a very powerful plant. And as I get further along to the industry, I get educated more and more about its benefits. And you see a lot of consumers who use cannabis to, veterans that are treating PTSD with cannabis.
Sure.
People that are treating mental and health anxiety issues with cannabis, cancer, the list goes on. And yet, once again, you go back to those kind of personal stigmas. People just see someone, smoking or partaking or consuming, and they automatically, associate them with that preconceived notion of who a cannabis consumer is. And you want people to be able to consume with dignity. And I think that that's such an important part, particularly as we continue to move this industry forward. And so for Philter, it was, I've been fortunate to work with a lot of really great companies. I've always been working on something very exciting. And so when I met with the CEO and he presented the idea, I saw a real opportunity to make a difference, to impact both sides, which doesn't always come across that often.
Do you see, having worked, let's say, in the industries that you worked with before and now in this industry, do you see a lot of similarities at all with any kind of, how so?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think probably some of the first ones that come to mind are definitely, from a marketing perspective, much like adult, you're cut out of those traditional marketing channels. There's the salacious and somewhat, divisive media coverage that can go across both adult and cannabis, legislative, regulatory issues that are all at times meant to hinder the industry. And then, of course, sort of that, everybody's doing it, but nobody's talking about it. So
we're doing it. We're talking about it.
Right? I feel right at home in cannabis.
Right. That's great. So last thing I want to leave with, product availability. This is fascinating, the product that you just showed me. Where can my viewers find it in the US and Canada?
Yep. So filterlabs.com for the US,
Okay.
on Amazon Canada for our Canadian customers. They're only available in the US and Canada for now, but if you are located outside of the US and Canada, you can follow us on social media at Philter Labs across all platforms, and hopefully we'll be making some big announcements for international availability in the next 6 months.
Listen, I appreciate your time, appreciate the product that you showed us, and wish you nothing but success, and let's keep in touch.
Thank you, Shad. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Amanda. Have a great day.